Illustrator is a drawing program that uses vector graphics. However, if you've never worked with vector graphics before, it can be confusing to understand even the purpose for this software program. Vector graphics are created with mathematical shapes instead of pixels. If you've ever used Photoshop or any other photo editing software, you know that a lot of things are specified in pixels. With vector graphics, it's the shapes. That's why you can enlarge a vector graphic and preserve the quality. But if you enlarge an image that's measured in pixels, it can become distorted. What Illustrator does is allow you to change the mathematical formulas in vector graphics to reflect the new size. Every graphic you create in Illustrator is a vector graphic, which means you can change the proportions without damaging the quality. Raster graphics are bitmaps and photographs. They're created using pixels. Each pixel contains one piece of color information. Whenever you draw an object, you create paths. One path is made up of one or more curved or straight lines known as segments. The start and end point of a segment is called an anchor point. An anchor point is a point where you can modify the segment. That said, paths can be open or closed. Open paths have open-ended points. A line is a good example of this. A circle is an example of a closed path because the endpoints are connected. Paths can have two types of anchor points, smooth or corner. A smooth anchor point connects two curved segments and creates a smooth line. A corner anchor point connects two straight or curved segments to create a change in the path direction. The outline of a path is called a stroke. As you'll learn, you can modify the stroke's characteristics, such as thickness, color, etc. The interior of a stroke's path is called the fill. If you want to change the path of a shape, you can do so by dragging the anchor points. Anchor points appear in Illustrator as a solid square if it's selected and a white square if not. If you select an anchor point that has a curved segment, you'll see a direction line with direction points on each end. You can then drag it to change the shape of that path. However, if you change the shape of a smooth point with curved segments on both sides, then both segments will be changed. When you change the shape of a corner point, the corner is simply adjusted based on the changes that you make. You can show or hide anchor points, direction lines, and direction points by going to View, Show Edges, or View, Hide Edges. Illustrator allows you to choose how and where you want to draw an object. For instance, you can draw on top of an object or behind an object. You can also draw inside of an object. To do this, you select a drawing mode. Draw Normal, Draw Behind, or Draw Inside. Draw Normal is the default mode. The Drawing Mode buttons are found in the toolbox. Draw Normal is selected by default, then comes Draw Behind, and then Draw Inside. To draw a rectangle, click on the Rectangle tool in the toolbox. Place your cursor on the screen where you want the upper left-hand corner of the rectangle to be located. Then drag your mouse until your rectangle reaches your desired size. You can use this tool to draw rectangles or squares. To draw a square, just drag the shape so all four sides are the same length. You can draw a rectangle or square over two artboards simply by dragging the mouse over both artboards while drawing. Drawing circles and ovals. Click on the Rectangle tool and hold the mouse button down for a second. A box will appear to the right side that will give you other options for the tool. Select the Ellipse tool. Now go to your document. Drag and draw the ellipse or circle where you want it to appear. Located with the Rectangle and Ellipse tool, the Polygon tool works in the same way if you want it to. However, you can modify the polygon before you draw it by clicking on the artboard where you want the polygon to go. Enter the radius and how many sides you would like, then click OK. If you prefer to draw your polygon by hand, with the Polygon tool selected, left-click and drag your mouse out, and you will see the outline of your polygon. Once you start drawing your polygon, Illustrator will let you know the dimensions. You can also press the up and down arrows to increase or decrease the points on your polygon. Select the Star tool. It's located with the Rectangle tool. Next, you can do either of the following. You can drag on the artboard until you've created the size of the star that you want, drag the pointer in an arc to rotate it, or you can use the up and down arrow to remove or add points to the star. Or you can click where you want the center of the star to be. This dialog box will appear. Enter the distance from the center to the star's innermost point in radius 1, and in radius 2, enter the distance from the center to the outermost point. Then specify how many points you would like. Then click OK. To draw a line, click the Line Segment tool. You can either drag on the artboard to create your line or click on the artboard where you want the line to start. This dialog box will appear. Enter the length and the radius to set the angle of the line. If you want the line colored with the current fill color, put a check inside the Fill Line box. Then click OK. To draw an arc, click on the Arc tool. It's located with the Line Segment tool. Now you can once again move your mouse to the spot on your document where you want the arc to start. Then drag and draw. Or you can click on the artboard where you want the arc to start to get this dialog box. Length x-axis means the width of your arc. Length y-axis means the height. Type is where you choose if you want an open or closed path. Base along determines the direction of the arc. If you want to draw the base of the arc along the horizontal axis, choose X. If you want it along the vertical, click Y. Slope determines the direction of the slope of the arc. A negative number creates a concave or inward slope. A positive number creates a convex or outward slope. If you enter a slope of 0, you'll get a straight line. Click OK when you're finished. You use the Grid tool to draw rectangular and polar grids. If you use the Rectangular Grid tool, it will create rectangular grids that are of a specified size with a specified number of dividers. A polar grid is concentric circles. The size and number of dividers is all specified when you create polar grids. To draw a rectangular grid, select the Rectangular Grid tool. It's located with the Line Segment tool. Now you can drag on the artboard until the grid is the size you want. Or you can click on the artboard to see the reference point, and a dialog box will appear. Set the width and height of the grid. Then select the number of horizontal and vertical dividers that you want. These are the lines within the rectangle. The skew value tells how the dividers are weighted toward the top, bottom, or sides of the grid. Use Outside Rectangle as Frame is checked by default. This replaces the top, bottom, and side segments with a rectangular object. The Polar Grid tool is located with the Line Segment tool. You have two options to draw a polar grid. You can click and drag the mouse on your document until the polar grid reaches its desired shape, or you can click on the document where you want the grid's reference point to be. You'll see this dialog box. Enter the height and width. Then add the number of concentric dividers you want to appear in the grid. These are circular. Set the skew value to weigh them toward the inside or outside of the grid. Radial dividers appear between the center and circumference of the grid. Again, you can set the skew value to weigh the radial dividers counterclockwise or clockwise. If you check Create Compound Path from Ellipses, Illustrator will convert the concentric circles into separate paths and fill in every other circle.